Figure it out.
Hello, this is Adam Koralik with Flying and Eating. Today, let's go somewhere and do something, and make sure to like, comment, and subscribe.
Hey everyone, it's Adam here. Last time on Flying and Eating, I made my way out to Guam, and my buddy Brian picked me up. We went and got some food, and then eventually I really fell asleep.
Good morning. It is day 2 here on Guam. You might have noticed that the footage kind of just suddenly ended. I never went to dinner. So the thing was, I came back to the hotel because between like 1 and 4 o'clock, it's just like too hot to go outside unless you have a car or like a really specific objective. I just didn't want to really wander. And the plan was to go to dinner. But I was like, you know, I'll take a little nap. I'm really jet lagged. You know, I stayed up for 28 straight hours. I only really slept for like 4 or 5 when I got here. So I thought, okay, no problem. It's 6 a.m. now the next day, and I basically just woke up. Like, I was gone. But, yeah, I'm good now. So, what we're going to do is I'm going to take you down over to something a little bit special for Americans. I think you guys will appreciate just the oddity of what you're about to see. But before I do that, though, I found a cool breakfast place that Google says is open already at 6 in the morning. The menu looks insane, so I'm very excited to try that.
If anybody wanted to see what a license plate down here looks like, there you go. That's what they look like.
So as I walk here, I'm actually, the sun's just starting to come up over there. I love walking at this time, which you see a lot of people walking past, running, they're doing their morning exercises, because it's actually nice and cool out right now. It's like warm but cool. There's a nice breeze, it feels good. There's also essentially no one around other than the occasional jogger. Which everybody's very friendly here. Morning, that type of thing. I thought I would take a second and just talk a little bit about jet lag, because I know a lot of people who have never traveled that kind of distance wonder, like, what is that like to deal with? So here's my tactic for that. I will force myself to stay up until a quote-unquote reasonable bedtime upon arrival in that destination. I would consider 10 p.m. really the earliest time it is kind of socially acceptable to go to bed. But then on top of that, I will force myself to stay up usually a couple hours beyond that on purpose, really wiping yourself out. Hence, I went to bed at like midnight the other day. You'll go to bed, you'll basically have one solid night where your body's recovering, and then you'll end up waking up at a relatively normal time, and you'll think, man, I beat jet lag. I did it. I kicked ass. You didn't. What's going to happen to you is a few hours later, it's going to hit you really hard, which is what happened to me. So I tried to take like a 1-hour nap. I even woke up a couple of times and just was like, no, I'm going to get up now. And then it was like 4 hours later. Then it was like another 4 hours. The body can't do it. So you basically lose an entire day. So kind of keep that in mind when you're here. Or if you're in any other part, like when you do that kind of extensive time zone shift. I've gone through the same thing all the times I've been to Japan. It's just something you have to deal with. So my recommendation is go into it knowing that, bring a lot of coffee, and schedule accordingly, because you're not going to enjoy your trip if you're just completely messed up the entire time because you're just too tired to function. So basically you have to build essentially an entire day into syncing. This right here is a perfect example yet again of let's take all the hyper-focused things about America and put them all in one small little area. So dinner theater, then a show. It's interesting. If I didn't make this clear, and you'll see more restaurants and things as we go, obviously. If I didn't make this clear earlier, their big thing here is Asian tourism, but you're in America, but you're not that far away. So a lot of Asian tourists love to come here because they get to basically do the hyper-focused version of an American trip and enjoy all the quote-unquote liberties that go with that. Again, like the gun ranges and all that sort of stuff, whatever. But this place knows to appeal to that base. So as a result, you have a ton of Asian food, like legit good stuff, but also at the same time you have Asian-infused tastes in other things. Again, Asian-infused things than your Indian food or your burgers or what have you, that results in kind of a very unique food experience that is, while it can feel, for lack of a better word, it can feel foreign, it is ultimately American. Here we are. This is what I wanted for breakfast, the cracked egg. This, based on its menu, looks amazing. So certain decisions have already been made. French toast, Nutella and bacon stuffed French toast. Are you kidding me? Choose a side of meat. We're gonna go with chorizo sausage and eggs, sunny side up. Whoa, look at that one. I'm not gonna lie, that's tempting.
Here it is, guys. Nutella bacon stuffed French toast, side of eggs, and chamorro sausage. This is gonna be insane. I went ahead and covered it in syrup for maximum BDs and obesity. So this is probably super predictable, but this is very good. So obviously it's stuffed with the Nutella, but inside is all the bacon bits. So it's got this nice balance of sweet and savory. It's really quite something. That was wonderful. The sausage, nice and spicy, is good stuff.
This is Meskla. As I sweat, I'm going to tell you a little story about this place. So my mom was a lot like me in a lot of different ways, but one way she wasn't like me, she wasn't really a foodie. She was just kind of like, I'll eat whatever. And she didn't really care too much about stuff, and you could ask her what she had earlier that day and she wouldn't remember because it didn't mean anything to her. Now, one of the times that we were here, we came to Meskla right here. And she ordered this like ham, cheese, and grilled sandwich. It's like it uses grilled cheese as the bread between the burger. It's an intense thing, which was not usually her type of thing to order. It was just a little too much food. And she was also the type of person that really couldn't finish anything. She'd have like 1/3 of it and she was full. This place, that sandwich, she finished the whole gigantic thing, and she was just like licking the crumbs off the plate. Like I had never seen her eat anything that way before. And then, like, literally years later, she was still describing that place. We actually came back here a second time just so she could relive that. She wanted that burger again. And so it was quite something to see, because she wasn't like that at all. And I'm glad that she got to have something like that, because you don't understand. Like, again, wouldn't know it the same day of. But years later, she's like, no, the cheese in that burger was amazing. The bread was perfect. Well, this place makes intense, amazing burgers. Like, this might be my favorite burger place on earth. We're going to be back. This is Meskla, not to be confused with Meskla Dos, which might be connected. I assume they are, because dos means two. But this is supposed to be like amazing local like cuisine. Based on the menu, it looks amazing. I've never had it, but I think I'm going to add that to this trip. I didn't know there was a second coffee slut. This is a real place. It's like, they don't have Starbucks here, but they have a lot of like mom and pop shop places. There's two coffee sluts. Apparently there's this one, and there's one like way down there. That's the one I would usually go to, but I'm further away from it now. I'll probably still go here, but I think I need to very specifically venture to the other one, because that's like the primary location, and it's just an awesome place. I just walked up all the way from there. The hotel's like way back there in the distance. Anyway, I'm fat, so that was a lot of work for me. Up that mountain, hill, whatever you want to call it, that is the airport. That isn't obvious from the plane there. Contrary to popular belief, that is not the only airport on the island, because this is also a major U.S. military base. The military has its own airports, but that is, I believe, the only public one. So this is kind of cool. This is Chinese Park. Obviously meant to cater to tourists there. We'll take a little detour and go take a look at it a little bit, huh? No, we won't. I mean, I don't think there's anything really stopping me. I went in the park. I know I'm not supposed to, but I did it anyway. And I'll give you guys a little private tour, because I don't think anybody's gonna really care. Somebody's cooking something over there. But it's got one of these little, you know, bridge dealies. We'll walk over that. I'll give you guys a nice little view. I'm not the only person in here. Look at that. And then you have Confucius. That's interesting. And a nice beach view behind it. But there you go. That is a quick look at Guam Chinese Park. Here we are at Meskla Dos's second location. Now it turns out the one I showed you guys earlier is not open because of the pandemic. They've kind of pooled their resources into just this place. This one won't be open for a few more hours, but that's actually not why we're here. Here's what I'm about to show you. You guys see that? Oh yes, that is a Kmart. But there she is, the Kmart. I thought Americans would appreciate it. Now here's the thing. You might be like, oh my god, a Kmart, really? This is one of the last ones in the world. There's only 12 left at the time I record this. Apparently 2 are shutting down, so there's only gonna be 10. I promise you one day, this will be the world's last Kmart. And the reason for that is that this is the only big box store on the entire island of Guam. There is no Walmart, there is no Target, there's no Best Buy, there's none of those. This is it. This is the only one. This is still actively the most successful financial Kmart left, and it has been for many years. I mean, I think it's inedible trash, but they even have a full Little Caesars in there when you go inside, so full nostalgia. This place, I mean, it may not look like it right now because it's only like 7 in the morning, but this place does get busy. This one is open 24 hours a day, and when you run out of parking, they've got you. There's even a separate parking lot on top of the building. I thought, why not? Let's wear the Blockbuster shirt and do it in front of what's gonna one day be the last Kmart.
It's even got the little popcorn stand. How cool is that? Of course, this is disgusting, but I know you guys want to see it. Even though I, in good conscience, could never eat at Little Caesars because I think it's disgusting, I thought I would show you guys, yes, it still looks and smells exactly like you remember it. In addition to all like the touristy type of chocolate stuff, which I'm gonna have to get some of that to bring back, of course. But coffees, cookies. One thing that's interesting about Guam is that it is one of the few parts of the United States that is actually capable of growing its own coffee. And they do a lot. But another thing you'll see here that's interesting is while you obviously have the American stuff, because it is America, you'll also have a lot of stuff you don't normally see because it's imported from other countries. Places like the Philippines in particular, Taiwan, and so on and so forth. They'll bring all that stuff in here. And yeah, if you were a child of the 80s, 90s, whatever, and you had some nostalgic attachment to Kmart, there are still some out there. Interestingly, and I only found this out before looking up, you know, a little bit about how many were left. Turns out most of them are in U.S. territories. There's one in Puerto Rico. There are four in the U.S. Virgin Islands, and I was just there and I did not know that. But there's one left in Guam, and there's a couple on the mainland, but those are getting phased out quickly. So you got toys and fitting rooms, clothes, all the things you remember about a Kmart, as well as the appliances and electronics, food. We're gonna go look at food in a bit, and the healthcare section. Just for the record, the electronics section is completely pitiful. This is it. There is no video games on this or anything like that. There's only 2 GameStops on the entire island. That's the entire source of video games for this entire territory. Now, if you ask me, the food section is the most interesting one because, like I said, they import stuff from a lot of different countries. So you'll see a lot of things you're not used to seeing. It's just kind of fascinating. Like extensive Korean, Japanese, Chinese, Filipino sections. But yeah, no, you can see just by a quick look at it, a lot of brands you probably don't recognize if you're an American. But here, this is just the standard stuff. Just because it's logistically easier to import things from Asia than it is to bring it all the way back from the mainland. Yet, because it's America, they still do that. These are Voortman. These are actually imported from Canada. I've actually, with Shane Lewis, Re-Res, we actually went to the Voortman factory once. So this is where you get some of that crossfire, where things end up meeting up. And one such example, Oreos, ice cream flavored. These are not American. These are probably from Thailand, I would guess. Strawberry cream. Some other type of weird ones, and then a Cadbury one. I mean, I don't know, but it looks awesome. Okay, now this got my attention. Twinkie coffees, Snowball coffee, Honey Bun coffee, Ding Dong coffee. That's a Hostess ain't playing here, man. So we got maple syrups, which normally I wouldn't bother pointing out, but you got some interesting ones. You've got coffee flavored, which of course awesome to me. You got pineapple, and you have Pog flavored. Now, for you Gen Zers who use Pog to mean cool, this is actually the origin of it. Pineapple orange guava is a type of drink that exists in Hawaii. It's like a bottled drink, like an orange juice. And that drink used to come with those little cards, the Pog cards, which then went on to be their own game, which then got resurrected for some reason through cultural zeitgeist to mean cool. But the origin of that, boom. So people stereotype Hawaii as being the place for spam. They ain't got nothing on Guam, man. Look at these flavors: hot and spicy, turkey, bacon, standard, light, less sodium. So one of the things you'll find a lot of is dried mango. Now personally, I don't like mango. I also don't like dark chocolate. For some reason, put them together, fantastic. Doesn't make any sense. Look at this, you have a version of Lay's. This is Hong Kong crab flavored. If I ate more potato chips, and I really shouldn't, I would probably try this. This looks cool. And next to it, you have nori seaweed flavor too. So you might find it kind of odd that they have both the import Kit Kats as well as the American ones. Now the thing is, if you're not familiar with this, American Kit Kats are actually made differently than Kit Kats from basically any other country. So if you want coffee, and you're like, oh, I want to get local because they grow their own, you might be deceived into thinking these that say Guam all over them are from here. But if you read it, Indonesia, Indonesia, Indonesia. None of these are actually the real one. This is some of the more legit stuff. At least this stuff is roasted here, although in reading them, it doesn't look like any of them are actually grown here, unfortunately. But they do exist, just not necessarily these. Boom, found it. This is what you want. Mariana's coffee, by the way. Mariana is referring to the Northern Mariana Islands. This is the Guam blend, and as you can see, made in Guam. Did anyone else know that Chupa Chups has a drink? That's news to me. Maybe Europeans, are you guys in on this? I had no idea. After doing a little more investigation, we discovered it's from South Korea. That explains why I've never seen this before. If you're ever here and you want to try like an exclusive drink, like kind of like a soda, they got Chamorro Punch, which is pretty much identical to Hawaiian Punch if you've ever had that. So I got one of these. I used to get these every time I've been in Japan. I would get one of these and have it every single morning because it's just good for you. 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C, but can't really get them on the mainland, but they have them here in Guam. So as I walk past and I see a Chili's and an Olive Garden, I'm just kind of reminded that one thing that's interesting about Guam, again, because it's American, but it's kind of like by itself out here in the Pacific. There's a lot of restaurants like those, although I'm not saying those specifically, where this is the only version of them in the entirety of this like hemisphere. For example, there's 3 Panda Expresses on this island, and they are the only Panda Expresses. If you want Panda Express, this is the only place you can get it in this hemisphere. Again, it's one of those things where tourists from Asia want to try all the prototypical American like stereotypes, like your Taco Bells and all that. Most of those don't exist in a lot of those countries, but they exist here. So it's like Taco Bell is here because it is American, but it's not made for the locals. It's made for the tourists to come and try, if you follow my logic.
So I did something I'm not particularly proud of. Yeah, I'm gonna have one of these. We're gonna see how this goes.
So this is actually not bad. I kind of expect all of them to basically taste the same. It kind of tastes a lot like those Starbucks like pre-chilled drinks. This one actually has a little bit of a cinnamon kick to it. I doubt that's what a honey bun tastes like. I haven't had one in a long time, but at least it doesn't quite taste exactly like every other cold, sugary coffee drink I've ever had.
Let's get in the water. Yes, let's get in the water with the phone. I know how stupid that is, but man, is it refreshing. And I'll get over here real quick, or as quick as I can, treading water the whole time, and I'll try and give you guys a nice view. Super chill. Essentially have this place entirely to myself. It's absolutely nuts. I like this little juxtaposition of where the pool ends and like the beach begins. It's great. Absolutely fantastic. Here's another quick view from on high. Look at that. And this is the height of popularity today, on in the middle of a Saturday. Pretty much nobody here.
Okay, I have to give it props. This actually tastes like a snowball. It tastes like a coconut chocolate cream-filled beverage. I don't know how they did it. I mean, obviously artificially, but wow. Good evening. So I spent the majority of the day by the pool swimming. I had a good time. But now I'm gonna actually have dinner tonight. And in order to do that, I think that based on my options, I decided I'm gonna go to Meskla. Not Meskla Das, the first one. The one that has more like traditional like food. So, see you there. So here we are. I like this menu. Look at that. And then you can see all like local stuff and a lot of alternative stuff. I kind of thought about some of these barbecue things, but in kind of pre-studying it a bit, I kind of thought that coconut seafood pasta sounded really good. Expensive, but you get used to that. Food has arrived. It's got these little, like, kind of flatbread with it. Pasta, meat, looks good.
so it's really hot, so I'm letting it cool off, but this may not necessarily look like the most attractive thing, but man is this good. This is a good solid flavor. I've never quite had like a tomato and like coconut fused type of thing, but man, this is great. Oh man, I'm full. That was fantastic. Now I see why Brian recommended it to me, and my buddy who's local here recommended it, but also other people I know who've been here said you should go to that place. Like, that's just the one nearest to the hotel. There's actually like 3 of those on the island. There's a big one like way down where I used to stay. Yeah, no, the food admittedly looked a little like, huh, but then I tasted it. It was like flavor explosion. Wonderful. If I had more time, I would definitely go back. Oh, and just a PS to that, you know they're cool because it's like 8 p.m. and they were willing to make me a coffee, which they served in a glass mug. Last time, the only time I even commented on it, the last time I ever saw that was in Vancouver in Canada. So there you go, the US does technically do that sometimes. So right here is Galleria. This is like a big mall that goes all the way around, as you can probably imagine. The one thing that's really weird about this mall, again, I've mentioned it before, they cater to the tourists, right? That's no big deal. But one thing I've seen in there that I have never seen anywhere else is because, you know, it's a lot of Asian tourists who just want a full resort Americana experience. Inside this mall, you can actually check in for your flight, and they'll take your luggage, and they'll bring you over to the airport. And then so you just don't have to deal with anything. Like the next time you see your bag is when you pick it up in Japan or whatever country you're going to. I don't think I've ever seen any other place ever that's willing to do that, considering the airport is you know, a couple of miles away. They just give you the full treatment. But look at this right here. This is, if this was Vegas, this would be the Strip. This would be the busiest, craziest street in the entire area. And pre-pandemic, it's Saturday night when I'm recording this. Okay, pre-pandemic, this would just be swarms of people walking everywhere. The only people driving around that you're seeing are locals or military. There's only a handful of tourists, myself being the odd North American tourist. Right now, the only tourists that seem to be coming in is Koreans. They're having an easier time getting in and an easier time getting back. That's actually the biggest factor. The US will let you in from any one of these countries, provided, you know, you do the normal things, like a negative COVID test and all that, and vaccination and all that sort of stuff. But a lot of countries just are they're like, hey, if you leave, you can't come back until this is over. So a lot of people are just not willing to leave, especially Japan. Japan's on super lockdown. So as a result, nobody.
Wow. It actually tastes like a Twinkie. I don't know if that's good or if that's bad, but they ain't lying. It actually tastes like that.
Good morning, everyone. It is day 3 here on Guam. It's still pretty early, hence its sun's just coming up. Not much going on today. My plan right now, I'm going to go out to breakfast. I'm going back to Cracked Egg because it's early and they're actually open. Later today, I'll probably hit up the pool and the beach and stuff for a while, because tomorrow is going to be the crazy day where Brian and I are going to be doing like a million things. So I just kind of want to chill. Though tonight, I'm committed. We are going to go to Meskla and get an intense burger.
So I think what I want to do is get the SOS Local Motion, which is it's a slightly mutated version of the Locomotion, Loco Moco. But I want to see if I can swap the rice out for the Chamorro fried rice. You know, that'll probably cost a little extra, but we'll see if they'll do it. Food has arrived. So taking a look at it, they were definitely cool enough to swap the white rice out with the Chamorro fried rice. So that's got extra vegetables and meat and spices and things like that. Chamorro sauce and gravy with a certain type of meat in it. The sunny side up eggs, as well as a meatloaf underneath. Looks really good. So I cracked the eggs just so that they kind of like explode into a sauce and let you see underneath. It's just more meat and rice and vegetables and spices and things. It's really, really good. Oh, this is fantastic. I would recommend, though, if you do this, swap out the white rice for the Chamorro fried rice. It really is a really good compliment. I'm serious, it really is.
The rain just kind of concluded for a little bit. So I'm gonna head down to the beach and kind of take advantage of it while I still can. Look at that. It is now the height of the busy season on a Sunday in the middle of the day. As you can see, out of control with tourists and people trying to swim. I'm being completely sarcastic, but I'm gonna go ahead and get in the water. If you ever get the chance to Guam, come out to Guam, do it. Although I will say, come here in the winter. Do not come here in the summer. I did that once. That was a mistake. So this is the last one. I don't know how they did it, but they made it taste like a damn ding dong. These are not supposed to be this good. This is unfair. Why does this exist? This should not exist, but I'm glad it does. Okay, it is time for me to make my way over to Meskla to go ahead and get the, whatever the hell it is. It's like a grilled cheeseburger. You'll see, assuming it's in stock. So the thing was, it's kind of raining. It's actually not too bad right now, but I'm sure I'm gonna eat those words in a bit. But I was like, oh, okay, you know what? I'll get a Stroll, which is their version of Uber. They don't have Uber here, but they have their own app called Stroll. Problem is, there's not a whole lot of drivers for it, and so it's kind of hit or miss. Like right now, there is apparently just nobody driving on the entire island, so I can't get one, so I gotta walk. So this is kind of random. When I was down at the World of Coke, they were talking about bottles that they had throughout the world to celebrate the '96 Olympics. This might be Guam's. Even though Guam's part of the US, I think the territories did separate ones. I could be wrong, but it's just an interesting little thing I ran into. So I thought I'd take a second to point out a coconut tree. You can see a bunch of green ones there in the center and the ripe ones that have fallen, and there's a fence there. Now the fence is partially there for, you know, privacy of the people who own this lot, but also this is not a joke. You see coconuts there? Coconuts are infinitely more dangerous than you might imagine. Like, they hit people and they are heavy. They are solid, essentially blocks of wood. They can absolutely kill you. This is advice for any tropical island you ever go to. Stay away from the coconut trees. Just stay away. So we are coming up to a weird junction point for me. In all my previous trips to Guam, I've always been on this side of this street. See, this street leads you up to the Kmart and to the airport. I've always been on that side. I've never stayed on this side, which is where I have been this time. This has become my new stomping grounds. So now, I've combined the two, and I know all my turf down there and behind me. So this is kind of a weird area because the hotels here, like that one, that one, that one, that one, if I recall correctly, all of them are currently abandoned. So they're just kind of like waiting for someone to renovate and need new hotels. Kind of impossible in the pandemic though, no demand. We've arrived. Let's do this. We're doing this for my mom. This will just give you a quick sense of some of the burgers I'm talking about. But this one specifically, the grilled cheeseburger. This will be my accompanying drink. And so here it is, a grilled cheese sandwich burger. Mom, this one's for you. So not surprisingly, that was good. My mom was always more of a grilled cheese fan than I was. Like, I like grilled cheese, but she liked grilled cheese that was super buttery and like, it would just fall apart, so it's not surprising that that would be her thing. There's a guy telling me to move, no problem. But yeah, no, good restaurant. I've always enjoyed Meskla, and I recommend it, but I'm more of a burger guy than I am a grilled cheese guy specifically. While I've got your attention on this part, I thought that this was a good opportunity to kind of talk about like why I'm even here. Like, I like Guam, despite the fact that it's raining and stuff right now. I like Guam. I always say this is my beach. I like coming here for a lot of different reasons. But in this particular case, this was oddly enough my motivation. Not that you guys asked, but so one of the last conversations I ever had with my mother, let's just say literally the day before she couldn't speak anymore, she kept asking me like, we gotta go back there, referring to Guam. She wanted to go back to Guam. She really liked it here. And she obviously can't do that. So I'm doing this for her, hitting her highlights, doing things for her, having a root beer for her, that type of thing. It's just more of a personal journey while being able to enjoy the things I actually like about Guam too. You know, let that be kind of a somewhat obvious lesson. When you have loved ones, they obviously can't be around forever. Create memories and experiences with them. Enjoy your time with them. And try to honor them and cherish them in any way that really works for you. You know, in this way, I got to hang out with my mom again one more time. Maybe a little sappy, but it means something to me. And you got to do that in your life too, if you can.
That'll do it for this episode of Flying and Eating. Thank you very much for watching. On the next episode, Brian will pick me up and we'll drive all around the island and I'll show you a bunch of the actual like touristy sites. Thank you as always for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you all later.